Hello and welcome to the channel, everybody. Today I'm going to give you 5 quick tips to have an easy early game in Raid Shadow Legends. Let's get into it. Alright, so for number 1, when you first start the game, you're going to be presented with 4 heroes. Elhine, the High Elf, Gaelic, the Orc, Kale, of the Dark Elves, and Aethel of the Sacred Order. So none of these choices are bad. All of the beginning characters are well-rounded and fairly strong, but the overall best option is to go with Kale of the Dark Elves, as you see here. I myself did not make this proper choice when I first started the game, and I went with Elhine, the High Elf Archer, and though she was still decent, Kale is better. His first ability is attacks one enemy, has an 80% chance of placing a poison debuff for 2 turns, which is decent. His second, which is his main skill, is attacks all enemies, has an extra 15% chance of inflicting a critical hit. Fill the turn meter of this champion by 25% for each enemy killed. So he's what they like to call a nuker. You build him up with a lot of attack and crit, and he'll just obliterate the entire field. He's really good in farming the campaign until you find someone better to do it. He's really good in the dungeons. His 2 different poison skills here, because his third skill is also attacks 4 times and has a 40% chance of placing a 5% poison debuff. So he can also be used in the clan boss if you reach that point, and he's reasonably good there too, because poisons are very strong. But he's really good in just all areas of the game. Very solid. Definitely the best choice to take right out the gate. Alright, so tip number 2, the gem mine. So it's very expensive to start, and it does require 3 levels to hit max productivity, and it does suck to dump your gems into something this early, but buying the gem mine as quickly as you can is amazing if you plan on playing for more than a short period of time, because you put money into it, and it just consistently gets you gems throughout your entire time playing. It will eventually pay for itself, and it's super useful. Mine at max level builds up to 15 gems essentially every day. So 15 gems a day really stacks up over time. It's nice to have that passive gem income to use on any other things you like. Super useful. I highly recommend making sure you get it upgraded as soon as you can. Good deal all around. Alright, tip number 3, gear. So one of the most important things that I learned that saved me a lot of resources is when you first start the game, you start getting gear drops, campaign, the dungeons, all kinds of fun stuff. And they come in different star levels between 1 and 6, which you'll see at the top of any of the gear pieces here. You can save yourself a lot of money by not dumping silver into trying to upgrade anything that is 3-star or below. So at the very beginning, it's okay to put a little bit of money into them because you're not going to get many, star ratings above that. But I wouldn't go crazy, probably no higher than like 8 to 12 is the different tiers where you get substats. I wouldn't invest any more silver than that until you start getting to 4 stars and above, because their base stat is lower when they're a lower star level. So you can save yourself a lot of silver by not going nuts trying to upgrade everything that's really low, because you'll end up switching it out not too much further into the game. So save yourself some money, use the best you got, build into better things. And then the other thing I wanted to point out is, so each character, and this plays into gear here, each character has a main stat that they revolve around. So like Rosin Scarhide here is defense, this Ray is attack. Now what that means is, most of the time, you can tell for sure by looking at their skills, damage based on attack. So that will be the main damage dealing stat for that character. So when you're picking gear pieces, you're going to want to try and find things that play into what your character does. So since this character is an attack, this isn't the greatest setup ever on this character here, but you're looking for the main stat on items to work well with what your character does. So this character's attack, I've got higher tier gear, which is the best, that is attack percentage and attack based, because you can build health and defense and whatnot on any character, but a character like this is going to get a lot more from their main stat and do more damage and all that fun stuff. One exception is So defense and HP based characters actually gain damage based on defense and HP stats. So they can, in the long run, end up being stronger than attack based champions, because not only do you get more damage for building defense, but that stat also makes your character tankier. So it's a dual purpose. They tend not to hit quite as hard as attack champions early on, but in the long run, defense and HP characters are the way to go if you get them and can. 100% the best option. The market. Now this will start with, I want to say it's about half of these slots locked behind silver and small amounts of gems. You're going to want to unlock them all the slots as soon as you can, because the marketplace is a really good place for picking up cheap mystery shards for, food champions, or even getting some better ones early. You can sometimes find decent gear pieces. Gear's a little more rare, but it can happen. You can also pick up a lot of uncommon champions if you need them for feeding into higher tier champions, or even if you just like them and want to give them a shot. And 5 times a month, you can actually get an ancient shard in the shop for, I want to say it's 200,000 silver. And that would be your baseline entry to having a chance at rare, epic, and legendary champions. It's lower percentages, but it gives you a chance, and at least if nothing else, you can get rares, and there's plenty of rares in the game that are incredibly good. So it's definitely worth opening up the shop to make sure you can collect all of those. And then the last tip I want to pass on to you guys is something that I was really bad about when I first started the game. So Raid is notorious at trying to get you to always pop your gems. You always want to open gems, you always want more champions. It's just the way it works. But I highly recommend, at least with Ancients, Voids, and for sure Sacred Shards, when you do manage to get them, especially on a free-to-play account, wait for boosted summon events. So you'll usually be able to tell because it'll have this red R going on, say boosted summons and whatnot, but you're going to want to be careful because they run a lot of ×10 events, which do not boost your chances of getting epics and legendaries. They give you a bonus chance of getting specific champions if you get an epic or legendary. And so for a free-to-play, they're not very viable. They're good if you have a lot of shards and you're trying to get specific champions, but in general, especially in a free-to-play account, I would wait for ×2 summons, which actually doubles your chances to get epics and legendaries, obviously. It's just the best chance at getting epics and legendaries for the amount of shards you have. So obviously, if you really want to, pop them. It's your game, you play it your way. But I would recommend holding on to them until you get that ×2 event for your best chance at getting really good champs. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments. And I'm very quick at getting in there and answering anything. So if you have any questions, drop them down below. If this was helpful to you whatsoever, hit the like and subscribe, and we'll be coming at you with some more videos, hopefully in the near future. Have a good one, guys. Bye.